Hello everyone, this is Ace the Ocarina Maker, and in this video we are going to be talking about the early concepts for Heavies weapons. These could be anything from slightly different models to drastically different functionality and everything in between. First, we take a look at this early concept for Heavies Minigun. At first glance it looks much more sleek and modern, but upon close inspection you can see that this gun is very shoddily put together and not very well taken care of. With taped up broken wires, a very poor welding job, and rust everywhere. This really goes against everything we know about how the Heavy takes care of his guns, but it does give a much more homemade look to his gun. It also appears to have a longer chamber and barrels. Now what's really interesting is that taped rusted piece of pipe on the bottom of the gun could be removed and used as Heavy's primary melee weapon, as you can see in the next piece of concept art. You can also see that he doesn't take very good care of his shotgun either. Heavy may have had an entirely different personality from what we can see based on the condition of his weapons. Next, we have a slightly different skin for the Iron Curtain than what we got in game, but it's not a huge difference. Interestingly, there are files in the game that indicate that the Assault Cannon from Team Fortress Classic was going to be an unlock in the game as a remastered and retextured version, but it seems like it never got past the early development stage. The Natasha has an interesting story behind it. It used to be called the Ludmilla, and it would have been an unlock for Heavy where it sacrificed the ability to pre-rev your gun for the perk of the secondary fire doing 25% less damage for 3 health on hit. It also had a 10% slower firing speed and a 20% slower spin-up time. While this weapon was scrapped, its model was reused for the Natasha. This next one is a sad one. The Tomislav, just because its original design was so much better. I mean, look at this! This would have been amazing to see in-game. It is so gorgeous and fancy looking, but what is worse about this one is it was not just a concept. They actually modeled this thing and for an unknown reason changed it before they officially added it to the game. Valve, real talk, I've got a question to ask. Why do you stomp out creativity and go with the most generic, boring looking weapons? I'm not saying the Tomislav we have now is ugly, but for God's sake, I cannot be the only one that likes the original Tomislav a million times better. Can we just have both? Bring the old model back for a new weapon? Please? Please? Anyway, moving on. Here we see some early sketches of the Hulong Heater, then called the Hulong Heatmaker. It looks as though it would have shot fireworks from a belt that fed them into the gun from a basket. That would have been so cool. It may have even lit players on fire for a short time as it hit them. Also, look at this Heavy they drew. It has no relevance on this subject whatsoever, but I thought it was funny. Now, the Hulong Heatmaker actually had quite a few different concepts for its design, but you can see as they went along refining and making slight alterations as they went, they started to get an idea of what they wanted the new gun to look like. Sadly though, this weapon is also a victim to a few last-minute changes, though not nearly on the same level as the Tomislav. What you're seeing on screen now is the final design of the Hulong Heatmaker. Man, that is weird to say. This is the design that they were originally going to run with. They developed it into a fully rendered 3D model, and then out of nowhere they changed the firework box to a wooden barrel, stripped away the scale design on the barrel and added holes, I assume for the heat to escape, and made the barrel of the gun itself much smaller. About bullet-sized. Yep, it looks like the Hulong Heatmaker was changed because they were either too lazy or just could not program the fireworks for the weapon to shoot. So they just made it shoot bullets like stock. Now, design-wise, I actually do not mind the changes much. They're both great-looking models. What I do mind is that they scrapped the entire unique functionality of the weapon for a silly ring of fire that eats through ammo like no other. I know in recent updates they gave this gun some much-needed changes and a good buff, but for God's sake, it could have been so much more. Such wasted potential. That is really pretty much it for Heavy's main weapons. I know there are more miniguns, but I just could not find anything on early concepts for them, so I assume the rest of them either only had minor, like non-noteworthy changes, or they just knew what it was going to be from the start. So yeah, that's it for his main weapons, but here are a few extra things I found. Here is a much better look at Heavy's shotgun, really hammering the idea of him not taking very good care of his weapons, holding it together with rusty broken parts and wire tape. At one point in early concept bearing a striking resemblance to the force of nature. The buffalo steak sandwich was originally a, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, peyote? Peyote? I don't know. It's a hallucination-inducing cactus that was removed because of its association with the hibernating bear item set, in which you would go around as a Native American on a hallucination-fueled killing spree. These plants were used in Native American culture for spiritual reasons and was removed for being too racist. I could not make this up if I tried. The family business, then called the Soviet Stampede, had its own unique model as well before being changed, and I personally think this one actually did get a good change to its model. In the early beta of Team Fortress 2, the Heavies' fists were actually team-colored, and the Fists of Steel had a very vivid red team color instead of the pinkish copper look we all know today. At one point, the eviction notice had blood-covered tips, which was removed, and the last bit about Heavy's early weapon concepts I could find is that the Holiday Punch was once going to have an Officer's Usanctious style. This would match the hat of the same name. And I personally wish that we actually got this, because first of all, it would look good on my Robot Heavy, and that would give me an excuse to go around tickling people, but secondly, it looks so cool, and it would be nice to have some mittens for Heavy that aren't holiday-themed all year round. And the fact that you can actually change it on a whim, that it's not like a festive version of it, it's actually selectable which style you'd want to have. That's pretty cool. I wish they went with that. Maybe in a future update? No, this is Valve we're talking about, that's never gonna happen. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. If you know any that I missed, let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know if you would like to see more of this and what class I should cover next. As always, be sure to subscribe for more, and all of you have a great day.
Who never?